Every day you'd wake up and there'd be like a new scene on the landscape. You'd have several muskox. We see muskox regularly. Sometimes we get a pretty good show. Small herds of caribou around, individual animals here and there, and they're just constantly drifting across the landscape. Raven Bluff is a unique landform, to say the least. You can really see how these prehistoric hunters lived out there.
I think the most interesting thing for me is that when we find one of these artifacts from thousands of years ago, it's been buried in the black soil for all those eons, and we might be the first people to touch it and bring it back into the light.
I mean, every day you get up in the morning and you can look around and see, oh, okay, I've got, a dozen caribou over there heading in this direction. I've got a couple of, individuals there and there, and you can look out and just say, okay, which one would you like to try and pursue today?
It's like time travel, if you can use your imagination. Imagine the person who dropped it, what they looked like, what their language sounded like, what they had for dinner, what kind of clothes they were wearing.
From this vantage point, they'd make their plan. They'd decide, okay, they're moving this way, let's go over there and we'll get in front of them. And because these guys didn't have rifles, obviously, they had, short range weapons, probably spears. They may have set traps, snares, who knows.
And we think that they were camping here because they had a great view of the caribou herds and stuff that wandered by so they could hunt them. And we're just digging through 10 centimeters at a time in careful quadrants to try to find these things and figure out more about the past.
We have part of their toolkit. We've got one of the most durable parts, the stone part.
An example of a stone, it's a chert, which makes a great tool. You crack it open and make all kinds of blades and knives and projectile points, which is science talk for spearhead or arrowhead. But since they don't know if it was a spear or an arrow, they have to call it a projectile point.
We've got weapon tips, we've got broken weapon tips, and they're in the size that indicates it's a throwing or thrusting spear. You can use it however.
Hi, I'm Carl Horines. I'm a 3rd and 4th grade teacher from Colorado. Excited to be included in this archaeology project up in Alaska. I guess I'm officially a volunteer with the BLM, but I got into this project through the Polar Trek program, which is a neat program that teams teachers up with researchers.
Polar Trek, that one was pretty easy for us because, we want people to know what we're doing, especially students. Archaeology, we usually do pretty good with folks, but we want to get the information to the students and to academics and to the young kids, and we want to show them, these are real jobs.
Boy, archaeology is an amazing thing to spend your time on. These folks are committed to carefully investigating ancient people's garbage, and really it's just fragments of the garbage they left behind.
And you can really do that. You really can go out and fly around in helicopters and land on mountaintops and chase off grizzly bears and have big adventures and camp out in the Arctic. You can do that.
It's like a very complicated puzzle because you're looking at just a few pieces of the puzzle. You don't have all the pieces, and you don't have a picture to look at, and then you have to piece it all together and try to imagine how these people lived. So it's a daunting task, but I think if anyone can do it, these guys can.
It was also really fun to have sort of an outsider or newcomer's viewpoint here. Someone who saw the novelty in all the things that those of us who've worked up here a long time take for granted. So that made us see those things again and was fun.
And I hope to be able to bring that kind of excitement back to my students in Denver with some mock digs in the garden plots at my school.